Hi everyone, this video is on mixed exercise 9 question 37. So in this question, y is equal to arc sine x squared, and we want to show that 1 minus x squared times d squared by d squared y by dx squared minus x dy by dx minus 2 is equal to 0. Okay, so this question may seem confusing at first, but it's just actually a differentiation question and it doesn't need you to do anything else. And all you need to do in this question and questions like this is basically finding the derivatives that you have in the equation they have given you. In this case, you need to have dy by dx and also the second derivative. So as long as you have them, then you can just simply substitute into this equation, and then you should aim to get the right hand side. If you get 0, then that means basically you have done what you are asked to do. So with that said, now we want to first find the first derivative of y. dy by dx is equal to, let me remind you that arc sine x is one of those standard results that its derivative, let me just write here, so d dx of arc sine x is equal to 1 over square root of 1 minus x squared. Now the best thing is probably memorizing this to just save a bit of time in the exam, but you can always derive this in case you forget or you just don't want to memorize. And I have videos covering these inverse trigonometric functions and how you can derive them. In the videos are in this playlist in the section of trigonometric differentiation. Okay, now in that case, this differentiation needs us to use a chain rule as well. So from the chain rule, we have basically the power comes down, and then that times the derivative of inside. So arc sine x, as I mentioned earlier, differentiates to 1 over square root of 1 minus x squared. And then this times by the bracket, but with the power minus 1. So it's just basically going to be times arc sine x. And we can simplify this slightly. So it's going to be the square root of 1 minus x squared. And then on numerator, we have 2 times arc sine x. Okay, so this is the first derivative in this question. Now we should find the second derivative. So for the second derivative, we need to use the product rule and also the chain rule as well, because I like to rewrite this as 2 arc sine x times, then I'm going to write the square root of 1 minus x squared as, let's just write here, 1 minus x squared to the power of minus a half. The reason I wrote this is because I wanted to use the product rule rather than the quotient rule in this case. But you can always use the quotient rule when you have a fraction. Okay, now in order to use the product rule, at first I'm going to write the first function, and then that times by the derivative of the second function. So the first function is 2 arc sine x times the derivative of 1 minus x squared to the power of a negative a half. So again, we need to use the chain rule again. So the power comes down a half times the derivative of inside. So inside differentiates to minus 2x, and times the bracket, but with the power minus 1. So minus a half minus 1 is minus 3 over 2. So that's the first part of the product rule. The second part is differentiating the first function times the second function. So the first function, 2 arc sine x, again, we have arc sine x, and it just differentiates to 1 over square root of 1 minus x squared. So since it's being multiplied by 2, it's going to be plus 2 over 1, square root of 1 minus x squared. And then that times by what we already had, which was 1 minus x squared to the power of minus a half. I'm just going to write that as square root of 1 minus x squared. Okay, this is what we have. We can write this in a nicer form before we move on to the last stage of the question. So for the first one, I'm going to write this as, also remember that we have minus a half and then minus 2, so they just cancel out, which is good. And I'm going to write this as 2 arc sine x over square root of 1 minus x squared to the power of 3. And for the second part of that, I'm just going to have, because the square root of 1 minus x squared is being multiplied to itself, so we are going to have 1 minus x squared, and then its numerator is just 2. Okay. Okay, I just forgot, because here we had minus a half times minus 2x, so yeah, we have this x term that I forgot to write here, sorry. It's here should be 2x times arc sine x, yeah. Right. Okay, now, just a quick recap. We now have the second derivative, which is here, and we have the second derivative, we have the first derivative that's written here, and now we are at a position to substitute these into the given equation, which is 1 minus x squared times the second derivative, then minus x times the first derivative, then minus 2. So let's begin with the first one. We want to multiply the second derivative by 1 minus x squared. In this case, if we multiply 1 minus x squared by this expression, this long one for the second derivative, it's going to be 1 minus x squared times 2x arc sine x over a square root of 1 minus x squared cubed, then plus 2 times 1 minus x squared over 1 minus x squared. Also remember that for the first derivative, we multiply that everything by minus x. So for the first derivative, we are just going to have minus 2x on top arc sine x over square root of 1 minus x squared. So minus 2x arc sine x over square root of 1 minus x squared. And finally, remember that we have a minus 2 term at the end. So we have a minus 2 here. Okay, now we should just simplify this and hopefully we are going to get 0. Okay, so there are going to be lots of cancellations here. The first one is here, 1 minus x squared cancels out with this 1 minus x squared on numerator. Then for the second cancellation, remember that here we have 1 minus x squared, and then here we have basically 1 minus x squared cubed, but it's the square root of that. So it just means that since this is raised to the power of 3, 2 of these 3 1 minus x squareds will cancel out with this 1 minus x squared, and then we are just going to be left with just the square root of 1 minus x squared. So, and we can simplify the third term here. So this one can't be simplified for now. So we are going to have 2x arc sine x over only the square root of 1 minus x squared, normal powers for the denominator, plus 2 from here, the second term, and for the third term, we have minus 2x arc sine x, so nothing changes from the third term, 1 minus x squared, and finally this minus 2 term at the end. Okay, now this is the best part of this long question, because 2 and minus 2 cancel out, and then we have 2x arc sine x over square root of 1 minus x squared, and then the negative version of that, and they all cancel out, and then we get 0 at the end. Okay, that's it for this video, and thank you for watching.